Dearborn, Michigan. Despite the rain, a tour group set off from the Arab American National Museum with clipboards and maps. Participants were encouraged to lead with their noses in their exploration of Dearborn, Michigan. As they walked, the participants in the Yalla Smell tour pressed their noses into flowers, plants, trees, walls, sculptures, signs, and even the rain, paying attention to previously unnoticed smells. They then jotted descriptions of the smells down: metallic, earthy, wood, rust, mildew, rose, on a map to help contribute to a global city database of sensory maps. Dana El-Masri, a perfumer and artist in residence at the museum, urged participants to spread out and rate the intensity and duration of the smells. She wanted people to get close, scrape surfaces, and crush plant leaves when appropriate for their olfactory survey. The group uncovered expected and unexpected scents of concrete, exhaust, metal, rust, basil, dill, marigolds, and sumac, which El-Masri explained is an important spice for Arab cooking but grows wild everywhere in Michigan.
Arab American National Museum artist-in-residence Dana El-Masri prepares the materials for her scent memory workshop for people to smell and then share the memories they evoke. Photo by Catherine Gravelks. As the last few drops of rain bounced off the oil on the pavement and turned to steam, a woman asked for help describing that smell, and El-Masri replied, "Oh, that's petrichor," naming the pleasant, earthy smell of dust after rain. "We process smell, memories, and emotions in the same place in the brain," El-Masri said, pointing to her olfactory center in the front part of her brain, before going on to discuss her research and creative work looking at the role of scent in different cultures. In some Arab cultures, scents are incorporated into greetings, such as, "May you have a jasmine kind of morning." Although the museum has been closed since March 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, its artist-in-residence program has continued, virtually as well as in person, to bring artists of Arab descent to the institution. El-Masri is an interdisciplinary artist and educator of Egyptian and Lebanese descent from Montreal, Canada. She is also the owner of Parfait Jasmine Sarai, an artisan line of handmade small batch, unisex perfumes, and scented products. Her artwork is multisensory and deeply rooted in her cultural and global life experience. In June through August, the Arab American National Museum displayed photos from Surah Arts Academy students, including this one from Francesca Gregory, for an in-window exhibit. Students told stories through their photos, addressing the central question to the exhibit was "Who am I?" Photo by Jacob Ermeet. In the city center of Dearborn, Michigan, across the street from the former City Hall, stands the Arab American National Museum, the first and only museum in the country dedicated to the history, art, and culture of Arab Americans. The museum is also an important community space, located in the oldest, largest, and most diverse Arab American community in the U.S. "We hope to be a space for all people to learn about the history and culture of Arab Americans," said Matthew Jaber Stifler, AAN Research and Content Manager and University of Michigan Department of American Culture lecturer. Arab Americans are able to share their stories, whether through their art or performance, or by donating family photographs and objects that build on the museum's growing archive of historical, cultural, musical, and arts items. "We are also much more than a building with stuff in it," he added. The exterior of the Arab American National Museum. Photo by Francis Kaiwa1/PBS NewsHour. The museum is the cultural arm of Access, the largest Arab American community nonprofit in the country. Access was founded by a group of Arab American volunteers in 1971 to help Arab American immigrants adjust to life in the U.S. During the 1980s, Access developed an arts department that gave educational presentations, hosted festivals and programming, and even had a small museum within Access's headquarters in Dearborn. The dream was always to have a standalone museum, and so in 2000, a national fundraising campaign was launched, Stifler said. Following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, and the resulting anti-Arab backlash, the community was even more adamant that their real story should be told. The museum opened its doors about 4 years after the attacks. Before the museum opened, core staff traveled to Los Angeles to train at the Japanese American National Museum, another national ethnic museum. Then staff and volunteers went out into the community to collect oral histories and donations of personal artifacts. The museum was then built around those narratives and items to tell the stories of the people who came to America, from 22 Arab countries, in 4 waves of immigration over more than 150 years. The museum's core galleries are set up in sections devoted to the contributions from the Arab world. On display in these galleries are some of the suitcases and trunks that people carried with them when they first came to America and the special personal items they brought, including 1920s beaded shoes from Syria and a Palestinian thobe garment. Visitors can enter a kitchen recreation that displays items that have cultural significance for Arab Americans. Inside a refrigerator is hummus and rose water and products made by Arab American-owned companies like Melody Farms Dairy Products. Nearby are ceramic pottery and glass teacups. Visitors can also listen to Arab musical instruments and celebrate the achievements of famous Arab Americans, such as American Top 40 radio host Casey Kasem, journalist, and White House correspondent Helen Thomas, consumer safety advocate and Green Party presidential candidate Ralph Nader, boxer Saddam Ali, poet Khalil Gibran, and many more. A collection like ours serves as an archive of artistic practice by Arab artists who live and work in America, whether they are U.S. citizens or members of the Arab diaspora, AANM director Diana Abu Ali told the PBS NewsHour. The works in our collection need to be seen within the larger context of American art produced in the 20th and 21st centuries, and as engaging with various movements and approaches that have defined modern and contemporary American art. Some of these artists have been overlooked and not incorporated into the narrative of American art.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.